up here to the top left-hand side, playing for SK Telecom. Please make some noise for Classic! Top 4 from last year's Global Finals at BlizzCon. He's there again, very consistent, but can he go one step further? Down here to the bottom right-hand side, playing for KT Rolster, the reigning world champion. It's live! And there's something very special about this youngster, Moonglade, that he just has this X factor about him. When he needs to deliver, he can.
He is one of a kind when it comes to Zerg. There is no one else like him. His aggression, his way of thinking about the game, the way he executes it as well is on another level. No one can really replicate what he does. And as we see again, he's going to go for that greedy opening. This is something I think we're going to see time and time again in this series, simply because it is Classic. And Classic isn't playing for that early game. He wants to go late as possible. He wants to get the 3-4 base, sit there until at least 150 population before he wants to move out and try and fight life.
And look at this mind game coming out from Classic. Plans the pylon exactly how he did in the previous game. And we are going to see more drones being pulled off, but it is cancellation. A lot of forced lack of mining time from these drones.
Yeah, you know, it's still going to give him that slight edge, delaying that mining just for a little while that time, but still, you know, if you get to cancel on your pylon, you're fine. And it's going to force Life also to make that spawning pool, so he can't go for any sort of greedier build, perhaps a 2-hatchery before pool, which we might see on a bigger map.
And Classic just gateway at the front and then followed by this immediate Nexus. What are some of the more common follow-ups that we see from Protoss players after an opening like this?
Well, especially in Classic's case, I'd have to say we'd see the Oracle more often than not. It's really his go-to, especially against Zerg. If he can, you know, hide him for long enough and go for that double Oracle play. And we saw it in the games against Bial. If he's left unchecked, if he hides it well enough, he's going to get a lot of kills. He'll get a whole mineral line.
Of course, both of these players know each other inside out. They're on rival teams in Korea. SK Telecom and KT have had a long and rich history against each other. And of course, both of these players have played against each other a lot over the years. How much do you reckon that is going to impact this series? They know each other so well, know each other's style.
Yeah, they do certainly know each other a lot. They have a lot of history together. And there's a lot of mind games behind that too. But at the same time, both players play such polar opposite styles that it really is a fascinating thing to see as well. The defensive Protoss who wants to go late game against the aggressive Zerg who wants to end it as quickly as possible. But it really, I think the story of this series more than anything else is really just, can Life find a way in every game? How is he going to do this? Because I don't think the same strategy is going to work from last game, especially on this kind of map.
All right, well, it's time shortly. If we are going to see a Stargate being planted, Classic has the technology to do so now. We'll see, because currently it's not looking like that. Whereas Life looking to get units, Overlords and Zerglings, like we see now, in position to find the probe, to look at what his opponent's up to. He's poking at the front door with his other Zergling as well. And there comes down the Stargate.
Oh, look at that. What a surprise.
So Classic. A couple of options obviously now, and you were expecting Oracle.
Yep, Oracle really, it's not usually a tool to try and end the game. It's kind of the aggressive sort of opening that you try and trade out some economy, but more importantly, get the scouting on the map, drop down some revelations, make sure you keep an eye on what the Zerg is doing, what they're making, and try and identify the tech that the Zerg is going to go into. So perhaps Classic will be ready for just about anything. And behind that, secure a third base, more importantly.
And Life, just like the previous game, has his Zergling at the front door, doesn't manage to see too much. He sees a Zealot and Stalker poking forward, so he's going to have to kind of retaliate to this and build some Zerglings of his own to come and defend. But he's got 3 Spore Crawlers, just like he did in the previous game.
Every single game we're going to see in this series, I think Life will simply be going for those blind Spore Crawlers. If he sees nothing, that's okay. As long as he has them there, ready for those classic Oracles. And it is also, you know, one thing if we go back to that Biel series that he just didn't do. And it really cost him. So big lessons were learnt in that series.
And the Oracle's about to pop out now. A couple of gateways to support this, as well as a Forge. 16 Zerglings have also been added on here for Life, which is going to give him a bit more of an active control in the center of Terraform to pressure a third base, to pressure or deflect against any units pushing out, as well as a Roach Warren. Very safe overall play from Life, but here comes the Oracle, looking to get into the drone line, obviously, but can he get in?
Man, and not only that, but more and more Lings are on the way. Here we go with the micro of that Oracle, though. He's going to be taking a lot of damage for, what was that, one drone?
One drone kill.
Not too worth it at all. But he still has ample energy left to kind of deal with his Zergling aggression. That is going to be coming across the map.
Yeah, it's on its way, and it has been spotted. Just there, you saw it. Classic has noticed, and he's moving up his force to help protect this third. Losing the third at this point in the game would be a disaster. It shouldn't happen. He's got units and the Oracle to help defend this, and Life knows that. He's going to check around to the natural to see if he can break through here as well.
Oh, wow, this could actually do a lot of work as well. You know, pylons blocking it, not going to last too long, but with this Oracle there, he's going to be trading a lot of Lings for this.
Waiting to plant the force fields necessary. Two of them do go down to protect the pylon and also to protect the Zealot.
And there's really no damage found at all. But we are seeing 1-1 Lings on the way. So a bit of a different style for Life this game. And, you know, this is more of a rarer style, keeping with that Ling aggression.
And he's looking to flood this out a little bit now. He's already lost 46 Zerglings. He's invested in even more. Oh. Picks off one of the pylons. There's still a lot of Zerglings, as you can see on the minimap. But as long as Classic stays solid, which is his game plan for the entire of the series, it's a good spot for him to be in.
That's right, and I mean, Classic already has the work lead as well. It's all about him staying strong right now, but look at this.
He's a little bit out in the open here. Got to be very careful. He does have quite a few force fields to protect himself.
Really has to stay close to those walls, close to those choke points, and really have those efficient force fields.
So what are the benefits of going for Zergling style, especially now we're even seeing a Baneling nest coming to complement this?
Well, you know, Banelings is certainly the one that it kind of baffles a lot of people, I think, at this point. You know, it's very rare that we see Banelings very effective against Protoss these days. Maybe Life has some sort of strategy either with Overlord drops or simply going to be trying to crash into them early enough. But there's already so many sentries on the map that it's going to be a very difficult sort of engagement.
It's going to come down to the force fields ultimately. And Classic just needs to have hands that aren't going to betray him.
Absolutely. Well, I think the next step here is what we see next. And look at that already. Ventral Sax is being upgraded. So it is going to be those Baneling drops. A very interesting style that we almost never see. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds against that Sentry Stalker style as well, because Blink's going to play a big part in this.
I mean, one game that stands out in the last month or so was that Pro League game where we did see Rogue against Hero, and it had devastating effect here. And if Life's able to pull this out, he is going to end this game with explosions, and it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of Banelings blowing up absolutely everywhere. But right now, Classic is moving out. Life is not ready for this yet. He's still going to wait for a lot of upgrades to complete.
Yes, that's right. He's still miles away from getting that Overlord drop. So he's going to be defending with pure Ling Baneling, which is certainly not favorable against this kind of style. And he also chose that gold base, which means, well, it is insanely hard to defend because simply Stalkers can sit behind it and shoot it all day. It looks like Life's going to be going for a huge counterattack, perhaps on that third or natural.
Borrowed Banelings on the third to protect while he attacks with a bunch of Zerglings on the other side. This could be huge because there is not an Observer, and the Oracle has absolutely no idea. So why would he look to find borrowed Banelings at this point? And he does! He actually finds it, and this is huge for Classic. The force fields come in, a blink backwards, and this is huge for Classic.
Absolutely beautiful force fields there, but look at this, a huge counterattack with those Lings. They are upgraded, they can trade well against these Sentries, Zealot as well. Force fields go down though, it's going to give him some more time, but he has to give up the third for it.
And he's broken through here, Life, but at the same time, likewise has Classic, who strikes right before Life was ready with his core strategy. And he's been broken. There's a lot of Stalkers here. Obviously, Zergling and Banelings are not effective against this.
Well, it's essentially a huge base trade, but the only problem is that third base is still intact for Classic. It's going to be very hard to break with Zerglings alone. If he can find a way to overwhelm this army, maybe he has a shot at winning this game, but it's such a difficult army to fight against.
All right, we're going to have Banelings getting into these Overlords for one last-ditch attempt at defending the second base. A couple of them go rolling in. They get cut off by force fields. The Overlords move forward here, and not the hits that Life would have wanted to hold this position. And Classic, very well done here, has broken the third. He's starting to stabilize back at home as well.
So he's going to try and trade out with this natural here, but more warp-ins and more Zealots coming from the main. Even if he kills it, I don't think he's really in a good place at all after losing that third base. going to be 3 Nexus against 2 Hatchery. Place Zerg never wants to be.
And well, Life's going to try and roll this one back. He's got a couple of Overlords full of Banelings, which are ultimately going to be aiming for the mineral lines. And if he can do that, he's going to hurt Classic a lot. But at the same time, he has to start to think about how to combat a +2 Blinkstalker army, which is still building up.
Well, he is making that Roachling Bane army still a lot more Roaches on the way. So it looks like Life might just be going, you know, the only chance I really have left in this game is to be going for that one big attack, try and overwhelm, while the Protoss are still rebuilding their infrastructure, rebuilding that cyber core as well.
And even the Robotics Bay coming in here to go towards the Colossus tech for Life. I mean for Classic. And let's find out how this next part of this game is going to unfold. Is it counterattacks? What is Life planning, do you think?
I think it's either going to be the Overlord drop in the third base as we see Overlords move up now. And it looks like a drop into the main base as well, perhaps. He's getting in place right now. He's kind of shown those Overlords there. And it might have triggered Classic to move back and be more defensive.
Yeah, Classic already anticipating this move towards the third, identifying this style very early on, actually. Gave him a great fight on that third base of Life. But Life's going to attack into this main base. The army of Classic's not too far away.
Not too far away, and he sees it now, so he's going to be moving up that ramp. At the same time, at that third base, the Overlords are coming in.
And they're dealt with excellently. Fantastic defense here by Classic. He's in position. He pulls his probes away from danger. And this is absolutely beautiful here by Classic. He's going to try and save this Nexus, but it is not going to be saved. But overall, Life just threw his entire army at this. And it didn't work out the way he wanted it to.
Well, I'm sure, at the very least, he got that main Nexus, but I don't think it was worth it for his entire army. As we see the supply differences at this point, it's 160 to 112. That is not a good place to be. It's unsure, though, is Classic going to counterattack from here? He knows that he's wiped out the main force of the army. He could go for that killing blow, but Life will be waiting to counterattack, as we already see Lings flood into that third base.
And flooding into this, and behind all of this, Infestors have been made. And they're starting to save up some energy for some fungal growths. These Zerglings can have a look around, but there's 25 Stalkers. A single Colossus has now joined the Protoss army. And this is going to be interesting to see how Life's going to pull this up. He's at a 60 supply deficit. The Templar Archives coming into play, as well as Void Ray production starting up.
Yeah, so going into the High Templar will obviously be very effective against this army in general with Sidestorm, but those feedbacks will be crucial against those Infestors as well. Life is really going for this cloak and dagger style, trying to avoid the big fight and go for every other angle he can. He knows he's behind in like economy and infrastructure and even like army sort of composition, but he's trying to hang in there on the same economy.
How long is it going to take until Life is ready to fight head on? I think it's a long, long time.
It's a very long time. There's really no hope for it at this point until he gets this fourth up and running, perhaps a hive. Look at this, a Void Ray has found all the Overlords as well, so no real hope of that happening anytime soon.
Well, he's going to fungal this Void Ray to slow it down to allow these Overlords to escape. I'm going to warp into Stalkers, trying to chase these down. He's going to find them.
Well, he might get a fungal on them too. Maybe these Lings can trade out with these Stalkers, which would be a pretty good trade-off, I guess. But still, a lot of Overlords going down. The supply difference is getting bigger and bigger as well. Infestors are good, but they need something with them to be effective against Protoss.
Yeah, and what is that going to be here? He traps down the Void Ray and also this Oracle. But it is now +3 attack for Classic. He's got Storm about to finish, and that is a very scary Protoss army. And Classic is looking to draw blood here in the semi-finals against the world champion. He's going to move out and establish his fourth, while still knowing that Life is all about the counter-attacks. He's making sure that he is not vulnerable to that Zergling burrowed underneath that Protoss army, taken out. No more vision for Life there.
Life really prolonging this game, trying his best to come back into this. And Classic is in no hurry to end it either. You know, he knows how far ahead he is. He knows he's kind of deflected everything he's had to against Life. And once again, he's going to be moving back, no doubt, to try and deal with this army. If he can wipe out this army, maybe he can finally go for that counterattack, but a lot of units getting into the main and natural.
Yep, and that's going to bring Classic's attention away from an attack. He recalls back into this main base, and he is going to deal with this small Protoss army very easily. And what is Life buying time for at this point? 5 Corruptors, the greatest spire is now underway for Life. He's looking towards Broodlords again, as you already said, he still needs more time. But is he running out of it?
I think he is at this point. That once that's been deflected, he's already chasing the remaining parts of that army. He scouts. He actually scouts with an observer. No doubt he was looking at that. The Infestors and the Corruptors. He knows he wants to go into Broodlords. He knows he's against time. He's throwing down that Stargate now as well as that Fleet Beacon. So looks like he might be going for that perk. Maybe try and fight this army before they get up and running.
All right, this is going to be an interesting fight as Classic looks to tie this series up. Identifying what he's up to and is looking to fight, is looking to strike. And this is where the victory is going to lie, on this third base. And here we go. Hallucinator Colossus at the front here, and that's going to tank damage from the Corruptors at the start. Storms come down on these Corruptors, and they are not lasting long at all. A good set of bungles, but this is Classic's game. This is Classic's map. GG, and he takes game number 2 and ties the series up.